Cat's Diamond Painting. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've joined me here before. I'm here today to do a WIP and Chat, which is where I work on one of my WIPs, my work in progress, and you do whatever you want along to me. If you want to just listen along, that's fine. If you want to grab your own WIP or other crafting project, that's all good too. And I'm going to be working on Hugs for Hiccup by Dakota Deitweiler at Diamond Art Club. If you have watched my quarterly review video that I put up on Tuesday, you will have seen this in there, and you might see there's numbers around here. Basically, for anyone who didn't watch that video, this is a kit that I originally tried to do as a pick a number series on TikTok for my channel there, and I got probably about halfway through, but I found that I haven't picked it up to work on it in that way for ages. Because the sections are too small, it's really finicky to get everything out and set up and then do a section or two. And I just haven't fancied picking it up to do it that way. And I'm a big believer in focusing on this craft being for fun more than anything else. You know, I take my channel seriously, but I'm not going to do something that I wouldn't enjoy, or I'm not enjoying rather, if, you know, just for content. So I have scrapped that. I might try it again with a smaller project and larger sections at some point in the future. But now I'm just going to crack on and get this done. So I'm going to start in this bottom right hand corner, mainly because my friend Claire over at Diamond Painting Nerd messaged me earlier to yell at me for not finishing it and say I have to work on 54 next. So even though I'm not doing pick your number anymore, sorry Claire, I will still do 54 for you because, you know, that's just how I roll. Okay, so I'm going to be working with this pen, which I picked up a while ago now, and it's from a shop over in Canada called La Douceur d'une Plume, which I think means like the gentleness, the softness of a pen or something along those lines. My French is very rusty. Anyway, I'm going to be working on this, and I have got, not very attractive, but a little scrap of putty here because I need to test this. I've just made a batch of it and ready to restock it in my shop. So I'm going to test that today. This is Beneath the Stars. I love this one. It's been really popular in the shop too. It's a sort of gentle, musky scent, and yeah, it's really nice. So I'm just going to clean my old putty out of this pen. Oh, I love this scent as well. I'm not going to say what this is because this is actually a scent that is going into my advent calendar. And all of the scents that are going in there are secret until people start to open it. It's one of the ones that will be exclusive to the advent calendar. So yeah, definitely don't want to spoil any surprises, but that one is gorgeous. Oh, just had to sneeze, sorry. I think I'm coming down with a bit of a cold. Okay, right, what am I doing? Let's get this loaded. So I have shown this before, but basically to load my putty, all you do is stick it in, give it a good wiggle round. You should see, if that will focus, that it's kind of cut a shape in the putty, a bit like a kind of cookie cutter. And then I can just pull it away, basically. And it's loaded. And then all I have to do, because this is fresh in the pen, is watch out for any excess coming out as I'm working. Particularly because it's a round painting, because I don't want any putty stuck to areas of the canvas. Although it will inevitably happen sometimes that a bit of putty gets on the canvas, and all I do then is use some tweezers to just nudge it over so it's right in the middle of a square where I'm going to place a drill and then place the drill on top of it. So it's not a big problem. Right. There we go. Oh, and the other thing I have over here is my rainbow tray that I got and showed recently from Love Resin Craft. Absolutely love this one. I've got 3 trays from Sam at Love Resin Craft now, and I probably don't need any more, but that probably won't stop me. Right, here's my drills. Just put those to the side there. Oh, and a tray, that might help. I'm going to try using this hot pink one from Firefly, which I don't think I've actually used yet. I used the other one that I showed in my last small shop haul, but not this one, so I'm going to give it a go. Right, where am I up to? Yeah, that's everything, I think. So, first of all, I am going to go back over my last couple of chatty videos because I've got a couple more questions to mop up. I have said on my last few WIP and Chats, if you have any questions for me at all about me, about my life, about the channel, about diamond painting or just anything really, feel free to pop those on these videos and I will try and always go back and answer them. So I've got a couple to go back to. Let me just get those. Okay, so the first one is from my friend Jonathan over at Jonathan's Diamond Painting and Crafts. And he was having some issues with his YouTube. I know he keeps leaving comments on videos and then YouTube is hiding them for no apparent reason. So I think he actually left this a while ago, but I didn't see it until recently when I was checking my the folder where YouTube hides comments that it thinks are unacceptable for whatever reason. So he asked a few questions. He said, first of all, what is your favourite ever painting that you've completed? Right, what shall I start with while I'm doing that? Oh, I haven't worked on this painting for so long. I've forgotten where all my drills are because I've got a few colours that didn't fit in pots that I just put in the lid. Okay, my favourite ever painting that I've completed. That is a tough one. I'm trying to think how many I've completed now. It's probably getting on for around 40. My favourite one out of all of those. I think House on a Cliff is tough to beat. That's definitely going to be up there. It had everything that I love in a painting, really. It was a landscape, which I do really enjoy from time to time. I don't like to work on them all the time because they tend to be big and beasty and full of confetti. But that one was just beautiful. I got it in the first mystery box that Diamond Art Club did back, over a year ago now. And it was gorgeous. And it's a testament to how much I loved the artwork that I actually had a few issues with that painting, which I mentioned in depth in post-review videos and that kind of thing. But even though I had those issues, it didn't put me off at all. I loved it. I think just the bright colours in a landscape was really appealing to me because whilst I enjoy landscapes a lot generally, they're often quite muted or they have like a very particular colour palette. Like for instance, I've done inspiration of Spring Meadows from Diamond Art Club by Chuck Pinson, and like it's gorgeous, but it's very, very purple and green. And by the end of it, I was quite fed up of purple and green. So yeah, I wouldn't put that one in that category. So that would be one. And then I would say Second Dream by Andy Russell would be another favourite that I've done. So again, I have videos on that if that's something you want to look at. But that was a different kind of landscape, a really like dreamy, arty one. And I loved it. It was so gorgeous and so so sparkly, you know, round drills, lots of dark colours. It was just, yeah, stunning. So yeah, I'm not sure I could say one particular favourite, but there's a few that I've loved. Family Circus, can't forget Family Circus either, the Richard Lorenz painting. Yeah, that was gorgeous. That was one of my first big paintings, and I thought it would be a labour of love, but honestly, it flew by. I loved it. What painting has been the most challenging is his next question. So, there's been a few for different reasons. I suppose probably the most challenging one would have to be the one that I gave up on doing. This goes back to probably about this time last year when I actually ditched this painting. And as I say, it's the only time I've ever not finished a painting. You know, I often need breaks and to change things up, but I've never not finished a painting before. It was a painting that I got from Evermoment on AliExpress, which I bought before I understood about artists licensing and that kind of thing. So frankly, it probably was a ripped off painting. It's one I'd seen in various shops, and I've never seen an artist credited for it. But that's by the by, because, you know, I didn't know better at that time, and I'm not going to beat myself up for what I didn't know. So that wasn't the problem, and the quality was fine. It was double-sided adhesive, but, you know, I've worked on double-sided adhesive a few times and it wasn't bad quality. The drills were beautiful. They fit together really well. Like, Evermoment does have some really decent quality drills. But I had picked my size, and I bought it fairly early on in my diamond painting experience. And I thought I knew, you know, what I needed to get a good render. So I went for 50 by 70. And I don't know, it must have been too small, because it just came out quite pixelated. I couldn't really determine the details, and it wasn't looking good. And it was very, very confetti heavy. So it was very, very slow going, quite frustrating progress for not a very good end result. It also only had 40 colours, and I think that was part of the issue as well, because I think a company that does hand rendering and goes over things once the computer's worked its magic to kind of fix them could probably have made it look a lot better in that size, because 50 by 70 isn't small. But yeah, it wasn't working, and I just thought, I'm not enjoying how intense the confetti is. It's probably one of the most intense confetti pieces I'd worked on. And I'm not going to enjoy the end result that much from the looks of things. So in the end, I ditched it, and I have to say it was like a weight had lifted. But then if I think about ones that I have completed, I would have to say maybe the old Waterway Cottage by Dreamer Designs. It was a beautiful, beautiful piece. I'm very happy to have finished it, because I love the finished piece. But it was confetti central, mostly in shades of green, it felt like. There were about 16 shades of green or something like that, if I remember, because I used to complain about them every time. Every time I featured it in a video, I'm like, there's so many shades of green. I didn't think the render was as good as it could have been. I think Dreamer Designs are a company that likes to do quite standard painting sizes, and I respect that they do that for a good reason, which, as I understand it, is because people like to frame their pieces, and having a more standard size and shape can really help with that. However, the vast majority of their paintings are probably in that size, and not all paintings come out well in that size. So all of the little flower details and that kind of thing in it, they looked quite pixelated to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, from a distance, now it's complete, it looks stunning. And diamond paintings are supposed to be viewed from a distance anyway. But yeah, it was definitely a labour of love. I had to do it in small chunks to get through the confetti. The drills also weren't amazing. So in the areas that were colour blocking, like the sky, it was, you know, it wasn't the relief that you'd hope for. But yeah, that I would have to say that one probably from the ones that I finished. So I'm going quite slowly because I've got myself at a weird angle, but I'm gonna roll with it now. And then Jonathan asked me, what do you enjoy most about being a content creator on YouTube? Wow, that is a tough question. And it's a weird one for me, because this isn't something I ever saw myself doing, and I'm still not sure exactly what prompted me to do it. I think I was a bit bored and I wanted a new challenge, but it's in many ways not very me. You know, I don't really put myself out there much. Like, there's a reason why you haven't ever seen my face on here, and probably never will, because I find that far too confronting. So I'm not, you know, a big extrovert really. But yeah, I suppose, I don't know. I found it really rewarding and satisfying working on it to improve, you know, trying to get better quality content out there. learning skills like editing, all of that kind of thing. So I guess maybe the satisfaction that I get from it is my favourite thing. It's lovely getting to know all of you guys as well, the people who comment regularly. You know, I do recognise names and really, really, really appreciate the people who keep coming back and watching more. So that's been good. So there's the sense of community, I guess, has been really enjoyable. Getting to know some of my fellow YouTubers, particularly, well, exclusively, I think, in the UK. I don't think there are any people outside the UK that I've chatted with as yet. But yeah, I've got to know some people here and made some really good friends. So that has been fantastic and not something that would have happened if I wasn't doing this. And yeah, just it gave me a way before I had the shop. So I wasn't doing anything very productive with my time at that point in life to be productive, to have a project to work on and give me a sort of sense of purpose. And yeah, I think that would probably be what I've got the most from it, if that makes sense. And then lastly, Jonathan asked, are there any scents that once you tried were just not going to work and you had to discard? So that's about my putties, because Jonathan is a customer of mine as well, which is really nice. And yes, there are. I've had a few mishaps along the way. So if you're not aware, I obviously make scented putty. You'll have picked that up from what I'm chatting about. And I bring out a new release every week, or the vast majority of weeks, unless I'm on holiday or something. So I'm constantly trying new scents and putting together batches and testing them and making sure that they work properly. And like the vast majority of the time, it all goes fine because I've been doing it a little while now. I've made countless packs of putty and I have my formula down. But yeah, there have been some mishaps. So there was one in about June, I think, where I tried an oil from a new company and I didn't realise that the consistency would be so different with that oil, and it did not work with the putty base. It made it go really sort of stringy and melty and weird. And I just about salvaged it by adding in a lot more colour powder than I normally would. But then it sort of had to me, it had a sort of powdery smell. I mean, I don't know. Scents are subjective. Sometimes I think I smell something that other people don't. And it was a little softer and stickier than my putty usually is, which means it wasn't so good at handling things like ABs, which is, something that I market the putty as being able to handle, because for the majority of people it can. So I had a bit of a rush that week to fix it. And what I ended up doing was releasing that one just on my Facebook group at a big discount, and, explaining to people the reasons for that so they weren't buying blind. And then I got a different oil along the same sort of theme. So they were both banana scented. And I released that one on Etsy instead. So there was that one. And then more recently, I'm working on oils for on putties for my advent calendar that will be coming out probably at the start of November. And there was one oil, it was really annoying actually. It was a gorgeous oil that I'd bought. I loved the smell of it. I'd only bought a small bottle of it because I didn't need much for the advent calendar, and I liked it so much that I bought another bottle so that I could, make some more for a more general release, because not all of the advent calendar putties will be exclusive to it. And I made the putty, got it all coloured and ready to cut up, and then thought, I'll just have a quick sniff. And it didn't smell of anything but mica powder. I took it up to my husband for him to have a sniff, and he picked up the faint fruity scent. It was frosted plum was what it was supposed to be, and I had such high hopes for it. But yeah, I couldn't use that because even though he could smell it, and these things vary, I couldn't, so I wasn't going to put that one out there. So yeah, that one was disappointing. It's taken a lot of buying of oils to get enough oils that I am happy with to put together this advent calendar. And even then, something like that can happen. But we're getting there. I'm well underway now. So yeah, thank you, Jonathan, for your questions. Right, on to the next video that had a question for me to answer still. Okay, so I have a question from Amelia, who is another lovely customer of mine who's in my Facebook group. And she wanted to ask me about cat sitting, because I often mention in videos that I cat sit for my diamond painting money. So the money that I use to buy all the accessories and diamond paintings and things you see on this channel, I do cat sitting to fund the vast majority of that. So she asked, she said, I thought about possibly doing cat sitting in the future if I had the time to earn a little bit of money. Definitely not for more diamond painting and accessories. Yeah, I believe you, thousands wouldn't. And most importantly, to spend some time with some adoptable little balls of fluff. So I was wondering what it was like for you when you first started doing it, and what you would recommend for someone who would like to try it out but doesn't want to just go into it. Hope that's okay, and you can answer in a future WIP and Chat. And then she said some lovely things, which I won't repeat or I'll blush. So what was it like when I started out? Well, I do cat sitting through a website called Cat in the Flat that we have in the UK. And it's just people who can go on there and register themselves as cat sitters, basically. And then you look at the people who are on there, you look at things like reviews, and you choose who you want to book, and you get in contact with them and you can book, basically. So my first experience with it was doing that for myself shortly after we got our cat Xander. And we had to go away, and we're not near family, or we didn't have anyone that we could ask to come and look after him. So I used Cat in a Flat, and I had a good experience. And then, I can't remember when, but a little while later, I then put myself on there. But for a long time, nothing happened. So I put myself on there with a profile, just saying a little bit about me, about my experience with cats, all that kind of thing. And the thing is, when you go on there and you've not got any reviews, and there's other people that do have reviews in previous bookings, you know, who are people going to go for? They're obviously going to go for the ones that people have vouched for. So I can't remember how long I was on there, but I think I was on there a really long time before I had any bookings. And then I got a booking from a lovely couple who live nearby for their cat Kira. And Kira's an absolute sweetheart, and I've actually looked after her loads of times now. She's quite a nervous cat. She was a rescue cat who I think they had brought over from Italy. But her and I click. Like, she's quite antsy still, and I have to be very slow moving around her, otherwise she'll skittle off. Skittle off? Scuttle off. But we get on well. Me and this cat. We'll have a little snuggle. And she's not like that with everyone, apparently. So yeah, that's really satisfying. So yeah, I'm going off track. What was it like when I first started doing it? Nerve-wracking at first, because the basic premise is that you go to a house of people that you don't know and introduce yourselves, and they give you instructions for their cat and then give you keys for their house. And it's a bit daunting. It's like, oh my God, what if something goes wrong? I had a DBS check at that point. It's expired now and I haven't needed to get another one. But, you know, them looking at me, they could see I was police checked. I don't know actually if DBS check means anything to people who aren't in the UK. So yeah, it's basically a certificate that you can get to vouch for the fact that you don't have any police records or anything else that someone might want to be aware of when booking you for this kind of thing. So yeah, it was nerve-wracking, but I went over, said hi, they showed me what she needed, and it was all pretty straightforward. So yeah, I just kind of, I suppose things like that, a little bit, I sort of fake it till I make it, because I knew I wasn't going to let any harm come to the cat. I was going to look after her and do what I needed to do. And I knew I felt quite nervous about the responsibility, but I was just like, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And it was fine. And yeah, it went well. What colour was that? I've forgotten. It was this one, wasn't it? I didn't. I put the pot away. I shouldn't have put the pot away because then I forget what colour it is I'm working on. Yeah. And then after that, it was again a bit slow for a while. And then I got another booking again for a very nervous rescue cat. I think my second one was Nigel, which is a brilliant name for a cat, isn't it? What should I do? I'll do this K. And yeah, I think over time then I started to get reviews and then I got more requests. So I think the big thing with it is to be patient, because unless you get very lucky, it's going to take a while to get going. I mean, it might be that there's not much demand. I mean, there's not much competition rather in your area. Or something like that, that makes it easier than me, because I can put my postcode into Cat in a Flat and there are so many people registered within a mile or two of me. You know, there's a lot of choice. So now I'm there and I've got, I don't know, something like 17 reviews and lots of repeat bookings. I'm probably one of the first people in this area that people are likely to contact, because most other people in this area don't have as much of that. But it's taken a very long time to get to that point. And I have regulars, people who, you know, they'll always come to me first. So that gives me a reasonably reliable amount. You know, it does vary month to month. And sometimes I get too many booking requests at one time and have to turn them down. But yeah, that is how it works, basically. Oh, there's one of those, the K symbol one. I'll put that back because there's not that many in there. And what would I recommend for someone who wants to try it out but doesn't want to just go into it? Well, as I said, I was a bit gung-ho just to kind of get it going. So I don't know. Have you got any friends maybe that that would need cat sitting that you could do and kind of build yourself a bit of confidence with it? One thing I would say is an advantage of going through somewhere like Cat in the Flat. Although they take a cut of your money, they do also give you insurance. So you're insured for if things go wrong while you're cat sitting, it's not just on you. Whereas if you did it by yourself, you'd want to take out, you know, private indemnity insurance and all that kind of thing. So, so I would recommend doing it that way, going for a website like Cat in a Flat, or I think there are others. And yeah, just giving it a try. I mean, you're a cat owner, I know you are. So you know what you're doing. So I guess just have confidence and don't second guess yourself. You're just going to be looking after cats the same as you do at home, but possibly with, you know, different owner specifications, because, you know, some people feed their pets one way, some people feed them another, some people have a litter tray for them, sometimes they're indoor cats, sometimes they're outdoor cats, all that kind of stuff can vary. But the owners are going to give you really clear instructions because they want their cat looked after how they're used to. And you just make a note of it and then just trust yourself, because you're going to know what to do. You're going to be fine. So that is what I would say about that. Go for it. You would be fantastic at it. Okay. I think those are all the questions that I haven't already answered. If I've missed any questions, shout at me and I will go back to them another time. And do feel free to pop any more questions that you might have on this video. So what's been new with me? Well, speaking of cats, we have a new house member of the household, however you want to say that. Yeah, we have taken in a kitten. And it's quite an interesting story how this came to be. So we have one cat called Xander, who's 6, and he's always been an only cat. We got him when he was about 6 months old. And, you know, that's the last time he lived with other cats was when he lived at the breeders. And I've always wanted more than one cat, but I was always really nervous about how it would go, because I didn't ever get the impression that he was pining for company. He got into a few fights with other cats in our garden. I know that him going in the garden could be controversial to some viewers who live in different parts of the world, but just before I go any further, in the UK it is very, very common and normal for us to let our cats outside. There are risks like roads, which we mitigate as best as possible. But there aren't some of the other risks that you get in other parts of the world. Like, you know, there's not animals that are a threat to a cat that are going to appear in my garden, for instance, in, you know, the middle of a city. So, yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd get that out of the way. But yeah, he's always seemed quite happy, and I didn't think he was pining for company. But I really wanted a cat. But I knew, because my parents had cats, and, you know, one would get old and die, and then after a period they would get another one. And some of those cats that came into the house gelled really well with the existing cats, and others just sort of made their lives a misery because they didn't gel, or the introduction didn't go well, or whatever. So I knew that it was a big gamble, basically, that if you get another cat, it might be brilliant for your cat, but it might also ruin their life, and I didn't want to do that. So then 2 weeks ago, it is in fact 2 weeks ago today, on our sort of street WhatsApp that we have, one of my neighbours messaged saying, is anyone missing a little ginger kitten? There's a tiny kitten in the back garden at number 2 down the road. He seems to be stuck. He's crying. I think it was raining. You know, what's going on? And no one knew who he was, basically. No one replied. So a little while later, that neighbour and me and another neighbour went down the road, and basically, because we were worried about the kitten, the first neighbour was going to scale the fence if he needed to, take the kitten out, and then, you know, deal with that later, because it was a miserable day and he was so small and wet and scared looking. Bless him. But actually we knocked on the door and someone was home, and we're like, oh, is that your kitten in the garden? She said, no, I don't know where he came from. I don't know what to do about him. Now, one of the people that I was with, who was my next door neighbour, has cats, and she was basically prepared to take the kitten in and foster him. So that we asked the lady at the house, you know, is that okay? And she said, yes, absolutely, you'd be doing me a favour. I don't know what to do with him. So he was collected, put in the little cat basket, and went off down the road. She then took him to the vets the next day. And they said basically he's in really good health. You know, he doesn't seem like he's been astray because he's been eating well. He's not got fleas. He seems like he's just come from someone's home. So he must belong to someone. So, you know, just hold on to him for at least 2 weeks before you think about rehoming him, because someone's got to own this kitten. And we thought, well, okay, fair enough, but it's a bit mysterious because the garden that he was in had this high fence all the way round, and it didn't really seem obvious how a little kitten like that could get into it. I mean, there may have been a hole in the fence or something, but I mean, cats aren't stupid. If he'd got in one way, he probably would be able to get out the same way. Plus, he seems so, well, scared, you know. He was too young to be allowed out or anything like that. So it was a bit weird. And the other thing was, no one was looking for him. So we posted on things like some local Facebook pet sites to see if anyone was missing him. Lots of people tried to claim him who clearly weren't his owner. You know, who couldn't back it up with a photo or anything. They just saw a picture of a cute kitten, basically, and thought, oh, yes, I'll have him. But no one came forwards with any credible, you know, like anything to back up actually being his owner and him being lost. And in the meantime, like, he was very small. Like, we don't know exactly. I would estimate he's about 12-ish weeks now. So he was about 10 weeks at the time. So if he's escaped from someone's house, he can't have got far. So it's going to be someone really local. But no one's looking, you know, no one's putting up posters, no one's knocking on doors, nothing is happening for anyone to try and find this kitten. So we all think that probably someone has dumped him. And it's odd because he was obviously wanted at one point because he was well looked after. But it doesn't really make sense that, you know, for anything else to have happened, because just how did he arrive in this garden with a tall fence all around it and no one's looking for him? You know, no one's posting on Facebook that is not just making things up. No one's putting up posters. No one's knocking on doors. Like the vets didn't know of anything. He's not microchipped. Like no one's looking for this kitten. And it's now been 2 weeks. So yeah. I really don't think that anyone is coming forwards now, although I suppose it is a slight possibility. So off he went into my neighbour's house to be fostered for a bit. And then the next day I was asking her how he was, and she sent me a picture. And all day long I just kept coming back and looking at this picture, and I just felt like, wow, this kitten is something really special. And I went to visit him at her house, and he was rampaging around really confidently. Like, he is the most confident cat you'll ever meet, totally unfazed by everything, which might make it more likely that he'd escaped and gone adventuring, but doesn't explain why no one's looking for him. And I said to her, you know, what are you going to do? And she's like, well, I don't want to have a third cat. I've got a friend who would take him. Why are you interested? And I was like, I keep thinking about it. And I spoke with my husband. My husband is not a big cat person. I mean, you know, he loves our cats really, but it's not for him, it's for me. But he's a very easygoing guy. And he said, look, if you want to take the kitten on, we can do that. And we thought about it a long time. I didn't just jump straight at it or anything. But eventually I was like, yeah, I think, you know, I would like to give that a go. So he moved in with us on Monday. So when he'd been with my neighbour for about a week and a half. So we were still within the 2-week window. But, you know, if someone had turned up with, you know, a good reason for why they hadn't bothered looking for him before, then it would have been fine. But my neighbour was at the point where she was starting to get really attached to him, and I think it was hard for her and her son to keep him any longer without keeping him. So he moved in on Monday, and he was just instantly like boss of the house, he reckons, not fazed by anything, totally friendly and loving with everyone, rampaging around the areas that we can let him be in. So yeah, it looks like he's here now. The only caveat is that he needs to settle in with my older cat because, like I was saying before, I will not ruin my older cat's life. But it's not a big concern because it's going all right so far, so I think we'll be okay. But if not, the neighbour next door would actually have him and keep him at this point. So he's got a perfectly loving home to go to if it doesn't work out with us. And he is honestly so confident and happy and adaptable. I don't think it would faze him in the slightest. But I think it's going to be okay. I think we're going really gradually. The first few times that our cat Xander saw the little one, who I think we're going to call Harry. Harry Giles is his full name because my son wanted to call him Harry. My husband and I have a thing where we name cats after characters from Buffy. And Giles is a character from Buffy, and then it made us laugh calling him Harry Giles, and you put the whole thing together and it's like Harry Styles. What can I say? We're dogs. So yeah, they've seen each other through a closed glass door with kind of frosted glass. And Xander did, like, you know, do the big tail brush up and hiss and stuff at first. But he's already easing off on that. We've got to a point where we can have them with the door open, so they're seeing each other properly from, you know, a metre or so away, and feed them some treats. And they will both eat the treats without too much hissing or growling or anything really worrying, which I think is okay for day 3. So we're going to carry on taking it really gradually, but I'm optimistic. And Xander is certainly seeming less worried than he did and more curious. So fingers crossed for us. If you have any tips for how to help older cats accept newer cats into the household, do let me know, because I would appreciate it. The other thing is, if you have any tips on helping kittens to not bite as much, because he is a biter, which is perfectly normal kitten behaviour, and I'm not phased, but obviously he needs help learning not to do that. I do wonder if that's how he came to be in this situation, if a family took him on, wanted him, looked after him at first, and then maybe he was biting, like maybe they had small kids who couldn't cope with it. Whereas my son's 9, so, you know, he's not a fan of being bitten, but he can rationalise and understand that this is just, you know, a kitten being a kitten. But yeah, if you have any tips, I'm trying to sort of distract him with toys and that kind of thing mostly at the moment. But yeah, if there's anything that I'm missing, let me know. So yeah, that has been the big news for this week, and it's taken up a lot of my week because obviously you don't want to leave him alone for long stretches. He's napping upstairs at the moment, so he is by himself because I'm in the room where my other cat is, and obviously they're not roaming around together yet. But my husband will be back in soon, and I'll be finished with this and go spend time with him. And he's fine. If he's napping, he's fine. And to be honest, even if he's not napping, he's fine until he gets bored. Honestly, least nervous cat you will ever meet. So yeah, let me know what you think. What are your tips if you're a cat person and you have any experience of any of this? But yeah, looks like we are now a family of 5. He's adorable. I've been sleeping in with him at night so that we can give Xander the run of the rest of the house. And he'll conk out next to me for a while, and then at a certain point he wakes up and just starts like nibbling on my face, which is cute but not very helpful when I'm trying to sleep. So yeah, what else has been going on? Well, shop update. So I have passed 2,000 sales. Woo! Really excited. I did a giveaway for that, as is, you know, as I tend to do. It's just become a bit of a habit now, which I really enjoy to do a giveaway when I pass big milestones, just to sort of share the love, because I've got some really loyal, lovely customers who keep coming back and buying more from me, and I just want to, yeah, share the love, like I said. Feel free to join my Facebook group if you're interested. It's linked down below. That's where I tend to run giveaways, and also just share information about what I'm doing, what my plans are, all of that kind of thing. So yeah, 2,000 sales. The second 1,000 went a lot faster than the first 1,000, which I'm incredibly chuffed about. And it's been busy. I think a lot of it is because there was a big demand for the Halloween putties that I put out. So I might have mentioned some of these before, so I'll keep it brief. But I've done my whole Halloween limited edition range now. And I did mystery trick-or-treat putties. And then I did pumpkin pecan waffle putties. And then this last week, just gone, I did another 2 mystery scents. I did originally plan to just do 1. But when I made it up, I felt it was a lovely scent, but a very particular kind of scent that wouldn't appeal to everyone. So I made up another scent as well, and then labelled them with a theme. So the first one was like a sort of perfumey type scent, and the second one was a foodie type scent, just to give people a little bit of an idea, because beyond that, it was a mystery scent with a name under a scratch-off label. And yeah, so that is how I did that. They are still available in my shop. They will be available until, well, I said until the end of October. I think at this point, because a lot of people have already bought them, so sales have slowed, I think that the current stock will probably last long enough that it won't be worth doing a restock again, because I wouldn't have time to sell it. So it will probably now be while stocks last, unless any of them surprise me by, you know, going quite quickly. So yeah, check that out. And then I'm working away on my advent calendar, as I mentioned, which is going to be out early November. And it's going to be mostly putty, a variety of sizes, because I sell sample sizes in the shop and full sizes. So I will do both, because like no one needs, you know, just 12 full size Christmas putties, do they? You'd be using it for years and years and years. So there'll be mostly putty, and there'll be a couple of other bits and bobs that, you know, link into things that I sell in the shop. And it's going well. I am a good way through making what I need to. Everything's planned out, everything's bought in that I need. You know, all the things like how I'll package it, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's going well. I need a drink, I'm really thirsty. That's better. Where was I? No idea. Advent calendar stuff, I think, but yeah. There will only be about 40 of those available, because that's how many I can make and ensure that they'll be up to quality. So I'm hoping that the stock will last a little bit of time. There's been a lot of interest, which I'm incredibly grateful for, but also kind of preemptively worried that some people who want it won't be able to get it. So yeah, hopefully everyone who wants it will be able to have it. Now, what colour was that? I've done the same thing again. I think it was that one. Or is it? That looks like a different colour. Ooh, what have I done? Yeah, that's the same colour. All right. And then, what else have we been up to? Oh, I know what I mentioned last time. I think I mentioned that we were going to be meeting up with some people we hadn't seen for ages from our antenatal group. So when we had my son, we did this thing called the NCT antenatal group. And you meet other parents who are about to have their first baby too. So you learn all the stuff that you want to learn about having a baby, but also you're just meeting other parents who are at the same life stage as you. And then it's sort of like a ready-made baby group. Like we used to meet up a lot in the early days. Unfortunately, life being what it is, I have lost touch with an awful lot of them over the years. But because it had been 10 years since we all met, one of them hosted a party for us. So we went over to her house, and I was quite nervous, you know, walking into a house and meeting a load of people who you haven't seen in years, a lot of whom have stayed in touch better than I've managed to. So a lot of them knew each other well, and there's only really one of them that I've spent that much time with over the years. But it was so nice. It was so much fun. You know, just really nice time with lovely, easygoing people. And I was like, why did I lose touch with them? I struggle with this, you know. I don't know. I don't often have the confidence to push it. If someone's busy or whatever, I'll kind of think, well, maybe they don't want to meet up. And I think sometimes I do myself out of what could be good friendships as a result. But anyway, I don't want to go down that route. But it was a fun day. My son took a while to warm up because, of course, he didn't know most of the kids. But then the one that we have hung out with a lot over the years came, so he was all right. And then he ended up, you know, as kids do, later on in the day. He totally warmed up and was playing with some of the others, including some of their younger siblings. So he was fine. Yeah, we ended up being there for, gosh, probably about 6 hours. It's a good long party. It's so funny because a lot of them have gone on to have more kids. I'm Facebook friends with all of them. So I knew, you know, what their kids were called and what they looked like and all of that kind of thing. But a lot of them I'd never met, even though they're several years old. So it was really nice to kind of not put faces to names or names to faces, because I knew that already. But you know what I mean, to meet them in person. And everyone looked exactly the same. Considering it's been 10 years, it was like no one had aged at all. And yeah, a good time was had by all, I would say. So I hope that we'll be able to do it again. My husband and I are planning to have a party in January when we both turn 40. So I think that we'll invite them all then and, you know, see who can come. And hopefully maybe do a better job of staying in touch this time. I would like to think. One of them is even having a third baby now, which is exciting. She turned up with a big bump. I wouldn't fancy doing it again myself at this point in life, but we are all very different, aren't we? Right, this one last colour, and then I think I will be done. I'm not sure how long this has gone on for, probably not an hour, but I will have to go on the school run soon anyway, and I need to go check on the kitten. I think he's still asleep because I haven't heard any rampaging, but he needs some more food. He's eating a lot. So we feed our cats raw, and just always have since Xander was a kitten. And the thing with raw is it's not like you're doing a special kitten food. It's just the same sort of food, but different quantities. And you might think that the quantities would be smaller because he's a tiny kitten, but oh no, 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 no. He eats masses. I think by about 10 o'clock this morning, he had eaten as much food in weight as my older cat will all day. He's absolutely loving it though. So yes, he needs some more food soon before he starts to chew his way out of the room. But yeah, he's been playing hard today, so he's having a good long nap now. And I'm going to go sit with him for a little bit before the school run. It's so exciting having him here. It's just, I mean, Xander, as I say, was older when we got him. And you know, the kitten stage doesn't last. You don't get a cat based on them being a cute little kitten. You get a cat because you want another cat. And I did, and I do. But that doesn't mean that I am not going to really, really, really enjoy the stage where he's just adorable and tiny. So, sue me. Okay, almost done. Last few going down. Gosh, that was so much quicker than doing it on TikTok. I don't know why, just doing the smaller section slows me down so much. I guess just a lot more changing of colours. There we are. That corner's done. There was section 54 for you, Claire, and a few others. And that is me done. So I will see you next time, hopefully. If you have enjoyed this video, please drop a like on it. If you haven't subscribed already to the channel and you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider doing that. And I will hopefully chat to you again soon. Bye bye.